Bluetooth connected. Mm, mm. For the two people that's in here, put a one if you can hear me. AG, thank you, buddy. That's what I needed to know. Thank you guys for coming to the Pushing 50 podcast. I was real hesitant on whether I was going to do this or not, but I talked to some really important people who said that I should do this and I should tell my story. So I'm going to tell this story. Uh, this story basically involves the early part of my childhood and how this childhood situation has me to where I am at today and what I am doing today. Where do I even start? Those who know me know I'm from a small town in northern central Texas called Wichita Falls. Uh, grew up there, raised there, families there. Grew up in a neighborhood called Linwood before I left Linwood in like I think seventh grade or something like that. And from that point, I went to a school called City View and then moved to outside of town and went to a high school called Burke Burnett. This show today is about what has been happening to me really since I say last Friday. First, let me give you a little bit of backstory. When I was a young man, I was told something, and when I say young, I mean like 4, 5 years old. I was told something that changed my thought process all the way up until right now. My mother told me that the man who was raising me was not my real father. This man raised me from birth until I left high school, still my father to this day, a bond that would never be broken. I would never see it any other way. But along the way, I was introduced to this concept that my father was not my father. So I lived 40, 48, 49 years with this doubt in my head about who my father was. Even though I loved the man who raised me dearly, the thought never, ever went away. With the thought came a name that I have been hearing since I was a young boy. I even remember even being called a little nickname similar to this gentleman's name. Never met her before in my life. To this day, still have never met her. The reason why I call this an open secret is because it seems as if everybody knew this, right? It seems as if everybody knew about these rumblings that my daddy was not my father, but nobody ever came and told me anything. And the way my mother explained it to me was kind of harsh. It wasn't a romantic story of when she tried to tell me that. She always kind of it almost kind of came out of anger a little bit. So I got to be honest, I resented her for that. Like, because I didn't understand. I didn't understand what I was going to do with this information about my daddy not being my father, and what I was even supposed to do with that. So growing up, man, I went every day with this thought. I looked my daddy in the face and try to find myself in his features. And my daddy's a shorter guy, uh, kind of a husky build. I'm a tall, slender guy, right? Uh, there are a lot of different people in my family who I don't look like. I don't really look like anybody in my family. Love them dearly, like them my people. But I've always had this wonder, so why I don't look like them? Is what my mother's saying true? You know, and my mother didn't raise me. My daddy raised me. So it wasn't like I was able to ask these questions all the time or try to figure out this and that, whatever. I just had to go off this name and this phrase that, for lack of a better term, the phrase is "that ain't your damn daddy." Like I said, I resented her for it, and I never appreciated that tone when speaking about who my daddy is. Everybody know how I love my daddy, but like I said, growing up, uh, looking at my family, trying to find myself in their features and trying to find, my personality and some of their personalities, and always coming up a little short. And so over the years, this question just kept getting louder and louder and louder in my head. And it all came to fruition. I say last Wednesday, well, last Friday. I spoke with my mother Wednesday a little bit about it, and she said she would speak to me the following day, which actually it was Friday when we did have to talk about 2 3 hour conversation about all the questions that I had growing up. My mother's been back in my life for some years now, but and we've talked about other different things, but this topic was never really spoken about. And the topic was, why did you know, a lot of it was about my past with me and my brother and some different things that happened with us when we were younger. But the conversation eventually turned to this name that she told me years ago. She was married to my father, to my daddy, and I've always believed, for the most part, my whole life, that me and my brother had the same mother and father, even though we have different last names. But there's always been this eerie question of, is that really true? Do me and my brother have the same mother and father? So I questioned my mother about who this gentleman was, and she's always kind of stuck to the same story. I got to admit that, but I got a little bit more in depth, and she told me basically how I came about, what the situation was. Uh, I'm not gonna say how I became illegitimate because I've always felt a part of a family. A lot of it made sense. A lot of it didn't make sense because in my heart, if this man is not my daddy and she wasn't there to raise me, she left. Why would you leave me with someone that I don't belong to? An ongoing question in my head, more resentment. Uh, why I did go with my brother and my sister away with them, because some crazy things were happening. But the answers that she gave me, as far as the question of how I came about, was like, her and my father had split up for a minute. Some things happened. Obviously we grown, we know what happened. Uh, and I always wondered if my daddy knew about this. And from what I understand, he did. I've gotten a little backstory on some things that happened between my daddy and this gentleman. But I guess they weren't doing a whole lot of DNA testing and stuff like that back in the day. So my daddy assumed responsibility of me. I'm definitely grateful for that. The life that he provided for me. You know, my sisters, my brother. I had, when it comes to my daddy, I don't have nothing to say wrong. But getting to the answer of this question of who this other man is that my mother keeps telling me, my father is. I spoke to my mother's best friend, and she gave me a gist on things. How you doing, Annie? I love you. You've been a blessing to this whole situation. I thank you very, very much. And we talked for about 4 hours about everything. It's like I have a side of the family that I don't even know, and she was able to fill me in on a lot of things, like a lot of things. I basically got to know my family in one night through her, and she knew the gentleman. My stepmother, who my father's married to now, knows the gentleman. Everybody that I talked to, elder, uh, one of my best friends, shout out to you, his father knew this gentleman, told me some stories about how they was back in the day, you know, youngsters getting money, doing whatever they was doing. Everybody knows this guy but me. So I decided to go on this mission to find out who this guy was. This has probably been going on like I say really now about 2 days, and we'll get into uh, the big parts of this, or at least what happened to me yesterday, which was a complete lesson on part two. But I talked to my aunt, and I got some understanding about how things was going back then. She filled in a lot of gaps about my mother's lifestyle and what she was doing and the things that were going on. Obviously, she was young, and she gave me a little bit more information on this guy. She found some people for me. Uh, I haven't reached out to these people. I reached out to one person, and we're definitely going to talk about her later. But everything started to kind of unfold. The stories that I was told started to match up from 3 or 4 people that I was talking to about the situations back when we were young. Everything just started to add up and kind of make sense. So the possibility is there. I won't know for sure until this is all said and done. But I just wanted to take y'all on a ride with me through through this transition in my life. But this is a question that I've been trying to answer since I was a little boy, and I'm seeing the light. I may have brothers, I may have sisters. Supposedly, from what I understand, the gentleman did have other kids. He did know who I was. Uh, his kids may have heard rumblings of maybe that I was out here somewhere. But I want to get to the bottom of this because this big question mark and hole in my soul is definitely needs to be fulfilled. I didn't put this hole here. My mother put this hole here. She put this doubt here. Uh, and I don't know what it's like to live without that doubt. And through therapy and the things that I've been through within the last 6 months, I'm coming to terms with who I am. And that's one of the biggest who I am questions that I want to answer. Who am I? Where do I come from? Am I really a part of this? Am I really a part of this? And I don't mean that in a family type way because my family knows who I ride with, who I stick with. But I think they also understand and have seen like Waylon looks kind of lost in it. We know that he's been told something, and he's probably been wondering about this a long time. For a while, I wasn't even coming around family. I had moved away and started my life up here in Dallas, doing whatever I need to do to get myself on my feet. And a lot of that came from the resentment that I was carrying from either the lies I was told or maybe even the truth. But at the end of the day, it was just a bunch of confusion in my head over the years about this whole father situation. Obviously, I knew who my mother was, but I just could not get grips on this whole father situation thing. So it's bothered me for years. Uh, I think that when adults put children in these type of situations, y'all hold these secrets, thinking that you're protecting the children. I am a child of many secrets, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I didn't feel protected once I found out the truth. I felt betrayed. I couldn't figure out why I didn't deserve the truth, which is why I'm doing this because I'm gonna go find out the truth. Uh, I deserve that. I deserve to close that chapter in my childhood, even though I'm as old as I am. But that's just something that has stuck with me since my childhood. So this is the journey I'm going to go on. I'm going to document this. Uh, you'll hear me on here talking about this, quite a bit more. There are some people that I'm probably going to bring on my podcast to talk about this. Phone calls, however we have to do it, because I'm going to get a whole lot of clarity. And I have to admit, I got a lot of people supporting me who are in my corner and want me to get to the bottom of this, want me to get the real story. And I don't think the story is too far off. It didn't take a lot of work to find the person that I found who who told me, tell your story. She's been a blessing. I haven't even known her 24 hours. She's been a blessing. But some of the words she said to me, and even being able to say that, if I am her brother, that she'd want a relationship with me. She'd want to get to know me, and I have to thank her for that because I didn't know how this was going to go. The text message you see on my TikTok and Facebook, that's a text message I sent to her, and that was her response. And from that day is when I said I was gonna document this, and I was gonna go all the way through this to the end. But I just wanted to come over here and give y'all a gist of what you're going to be seeing as far as my social media and things like that, and what I'm going to be doing as far as this journey. I'm not terribly scared of it, but I'm extremely nervous because when you start going to poke around for the truth, you might find things that hurt you. But I'm willing to take that on because I have to get to the bottom of this. Uh, from what I know, the gentleman's already passed away. Uh, but he left something here to help me, if that is the case. I don't. Like I said, I've always heard this name. It's been a rumor from what I'm hearing from elders. Like it's just always been around. I just never heard it. It's just been like an open secret, and people have come around me and walked around me and said hi to me and buys to me, and knowing what the situation was. And I guess it comes as more of a respect thing because my daddy never made a big deal of it. He never really talked about it. He just loved and took care of me and made sure I was straight. And I'm not doing this to hurt my father by my daddy by any means. This is about me finding the truth and trying to become whole again. So I appreciate y'all checking me out. You're definitely going to see more on this. Uh, I'm excited about it, and I'll be back here in a couple of days to show y'all what I found out. Pushing 50, we'll do it again.